Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting night of the Overdrive League Platinum League. And this time we have one of the playoffs rounds. I believe this is the quarterfinals
Quarterfinal.
match between Beemo's Commandos and Rawr. I am Mark Rafa Arambide for the play-by-play, and tonight joining me on the cast is my wonderful co-color caster, Sordo. Dude, tell me, what is going on in this matchup?
Oh man, we got a hyphy matchup. We got the meme team themselves, Beemo Commandos, which I may or may not have gotten clipped saying that I'm gonna gift them if they win. But we also have Rawr, which has been on the up and up as of late. So I'm really excited to see how this matchup goes. So
yeah, and we're already jumped into pick and ban phase right here. Just looking as the bans come in, seems like they're just kind of flying off the wheels. They already know which champions they do not want to deal with on the other side of the matchup. Vayne, Yasuo being banned on the side of Beemos, as well as Katarina Nocturne. And it looks like the Rakan ban just came in for Beemos, and this last ban will be Ezreal from the side of Rawr.
Yeah, so these are complete and utter just target bans. Each one of those champions, except for the Rakan, are all the top win rates for Gandhi Donuts and for Aquatic Dart. So I'm really liking those picks and bans. And then on the same side for Rawr, Wonder getting his Katarina banned, the Nocturne ban because he's still one of the strongest junglers in the game, especially if you want to pick, say, Kindred, who Nocturne does really well into early game. There it is. So, I'm liking the bans on both sides. They are, target bans, and they are meta bans as well. Rakan being one of the strongest supports, Nocturne being one of the strongest junglers. So far, I'm really liking these picks and bans.
Yeah, well, speaking of picks and bans here, we just saw the Kindred being locked in for Rawr as preempted by that Nocturne ban. But the Malphite first pick from Beemos. I mean, I know there's a lot of power picks, and which makes blue side in the competitive meta so strong right now, but I don't remember Malphite being such a contested first pick here for Beemos. I'm not sure if that maybe is a comfort pick for the top laner Sneaky Jack here, or do they know something that we don't here, Sordo?
Maybe they actually know something that we don't, because to me, Malphite is more of a wombo combo counter pick. So, I mean, maybe he's like a 2000 IQ player and is just, taking us for a ride here, because I'm kind of a little bit questioning that one, but it's, it is what it is.
We'll definitely have to see how this Malphite first pick plays out. It can be counterpicked on the side of Rawr if they choose to do so, and they could definitely take an opportunity or advantage of it before this first ban phase comes through. The Braum was locked in, as well as the Alistar, and then in just a few more seconds, their mid laner is looking to be locking in the Rise. Now, just because that Rise is locked in doesn't mean we know exactly where that is going to go, though, Sordo.
Yeah, no. The thing with the picks that are coming out right now, like, I'm liking the Braum so far, even though there isn't really anything for his Unbreakable. It's Unbreakable to stop. But it's still a really strong pick. I still favor the Tahm Kench bot lane, though, which a lot of people still aren't adopting, which is kind of surprising to me, because I think his stun is amazing, especially his Devour is amazing. And if you watch, LCS, LCK, you start to see all of these, amazing Tahm Kench plays. We saw yesterday in LCS the Tahm Kench going to the red buff with the Trundle and stealing over the red buff and completely screwing over the Kindred. So Trundle and Tahm Kench are still available, even though the support is already picked. This could be something that they can use in the next game. But for the picks right now, I like the Rise pick. Galio into Rise, I'm kind of questioning a little bit, though, because Rise does wave clear really well. And Galio wants to be the champion to push roam, use his heroic entrance, go bot lane, get a double kill, come back mid with teleport. Like,
Yeah.
versus Rise, I don't really know how he's going to be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a champion that excels on roaming and influencing and impacting his side lanes, getting them to that successive snowball state so that they can start carrying the game. He's more of a facilitator. It's not often that we see a Galio hard carrying the game, unless, of course, you were watching, I believe it was Risen Dominates game on Saturday, where a mid laner by the name of Hey There Losers had completely annihilated, just going full AP Galio. But most of the time, it is just a more of a bruisery aftershock Galio pick that wants to set up the crowd control effects for those massive team fight wombos. And now we're looking into the bans here. I'm not quite sure what these
So
bans are.
there was a bit of a mistake within the pro draft, so they're going to restart it but keep the same picks, same bands for the first phase. So we get a bit more time to talk about them while they restart everything.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I still want to focus on that Kindred pick because I find Kindred to be one of, if not the strongest jungler in the meta right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if played correctly, and if she can get her stacks, she's going to be the strongest champion in this game so far. Like, no doubt about it. She outscales Rise, outscales Malphite, outscales Alistar, Galio, everyone and then some. Their goal right now, with the comp that they've drafted on the side of Rawr, is kind of just protect that Kindred. Like, Galio, the issue with him at the moment and why he's not seen so much in the competitive scene is due to the fact that there's a lot of other champions that do his job. You know, whether it is push roam, you know, you have Talia, you have Talon still in the meta. And then whether it is protecting, you know, you still have the Zillion pick, which you saw TSM, Bjergsen win with it. You see Jensen win with it. And other regions are starting to adopt it due to the fact that mid lane at the moment, unless you're playing, you know, an assassin or of the sort, is not really the most influential role. So I'm questioning the Galio pick. I feel like if they wanted to pull a better combo off, they could have done the Zillion pick. But, you know, maybe the mid laner doesn't have that much experience, and that just is what it is. But
Yeah.
I'm liking Rawr so far.
Yeah, it does always come to a question of whether that mid laner's champion pool is extensive enough, or if they even have the confidence to pull a pick like that with minimal experience. Because sometimes that is the case for the professional league. Sometimes there are players that just see a pick, and as long as the team believes in them to be able to use the pick sufficiently enough to an extent that can win them the game or meet the win condition, then yeah, they'll just pull it out. But we see, like you were talking about that Zillion pick, it's really something that's only been played exclusively by Jensen, and Bjergsen used to play it in the past, but until yesterday, wasn't really pulling it out for his own team as well. But speaking of new picks, I like that you bring up the Kindred and her current strength in the meta because she's practically almost pick or banned in a lot of phases. However, there's always junglers that may not necessarily be able to outduel her in a 1v1, but there's certain parts of their kit that do make them a strong answer into Kindred, particularly during the team fighting parts of the game. And I'm talking mainly about the Gragas and then recently the Lee Sin. Both the Explosive Cask and the Dragon's Rage can kick Kindred or another priority target out of the safety of that Lamb's Respite and can basically bait them or set them up to a false sense of security.
Yeah, no, and especially with the buffs to Lee Sin, the Q getting the execution damage, you know, previous patches you've seen buffs to Dragon's Rage, and then also you get Gragas coming into the meta, one of my favorite champions. You know, Body Slam, Explosive Cast, gets him out of the Lamb's Respite, and it's just a pain to deal with. And especially now that you're seeing Gragas go different variants, you see the off-tank Gragas, you see full AP Gragas. There's so many different ways that you're seeing Gragas now that, you know, Kindred comes into the meta as an answer. most of the time. Right now, she's a little bit overtuned, so now she's taking over the meta. But there are different champions, I do agree with you, that are coming into the meta, Gragas, Lee Sin, even champions like Pantheon, that are coming in and completely destroying her early game and making it so that you gotta wait, 40 minutes till she gets, 6 stacks, 7 stats to actually do damage. So the Kindred is a give and take kind of thing.
Yeah, it does require not only high execution from the person playing the champion, but it also does require the support of her team. Because now with the recent buffs that does make her stronger, at least in competitive play, is the fact that your teammates can help you secure the marks. It doesn't have to be her last hitting the camp or the monster that does have it. As long as she has hit or damaged the camp within the last, I want to say 3 seconds, then another one of her allies can secure it for her. And you're right, she is overtuned in a state right now. And until the recent changes to marksman, bringing potentially back crit marksman with a smoother, more accelerated build path, Kindred was kind of the next best champion to say, hey, we want some late game DPS. And right now, the only position that offers that is the Kindred.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of crit marksman, I'm curious to see if we're going to see any, because I feel crit marksmen are kind of in an interesting spot where champions like Kai'Sa, Lucian, Ezreal, I still deem them better than crit marksmen due to the fact that even though they made the gold items lower, I agree with the Zeal item changes. I think taking off 100 gold does kind of help them a little bit. The IE change in particular hurts the ADCs quite a bit. If you compare old ADC, it used to be 150% damage crit. Now it's taking 10% of the crit and converting it into true damage. And, it's just not as good of an item as it used to be. But if you look into the meta, you're starting to see crit AD carries come back with the Zeal changes. So I don't know. It's still the huge debate of whether you want champions that do not even touch crit, the Kai'Sa, the Lucian, the Ezreal, or do you want to default back into those crit AD carries and try to deal with it, that way, and just wait till you hit 4 items, wait till you hit 5 items, and out damage everyone.
You're absolutely right. And we would love to continue this conversation for the stream, but we do have to throw it back to a slight intermission, as there is a lot of technical difficulties going on in communication with the teams that are participating. There was a roster change, and now there's some slight differences coming into the pick and ban phase. So we're just going to go take a quick break while we try to resolve that and then get the game and the pick and ban phase underway for you guys. Thank you so much for your patience. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for your patience. We were just trying to straighten everything out with the teams, what their final compositions were going to be. And if we have communicated correct with our production crew, we will be getting the actual champion compositions and draft up onto you. We will not have been able to go through and show you the actual pick order, but me and Sordo, we watched it happen in pro draft, so we can definitely tell you what was the thought process going between Beemo's Commanders and Rawr. So Sordo, we
Hmm.
saw from Beemo Commanders they went for a Lulu first pick instead of the Malphite. So we don't have to worry about the Rock Monster. And then Roar contested with the Kindred, still same as like what the draft before, but then Nami came in as the support pick. So instead of more of a tankier support like the Braum, we've got a little bit more sustain, a little bit more poking power, as more than likely that Lulu would be going in the support role, although it can be flex in the mid lane as well. But then you were talking about when we were going through Kindred, one of her new counters is coming up is the Pantheon. Tell me about why Pantheon is so good right now.
So, if anyone here is a jungler in solo queue, abuse the hell out of Pantheon. Pantheon counters almost every carry jungler early game. The thing with him, he just does so much damage, especially the fact that you block autos with your passive. Your Q crits when they're at low HP. You have a stun. Your E armor shreds. Like, he just does ridiculous amounts of damage. Plus, his gank assist is just better than the Kindred's, period, hands down. No one can really argue that. The only thing Kindred really has in her kit is a slow. So, for the Pantheon, especially in this game, he has a Nasus, Swain, Ashe. You have all these late game damage carries, and you have a huge tank in the top lane. So, for the side of Beemos, they really need to focus on getting lanes ahead. And if anything, getting that Pantheon ahead. Because right now, looking at the composition of Rawr, if the Pantheon gets ahead, he can just one-shot Kaisa, even if Nami's there. Or if anything, one-shot the Nami. The Nami was picked and designed to just protect the Kindred. Pantheon tries to engage, Nami tidal waves. Ashe Arrow, Nami Mikhail's tidal waves. With the Orianna ult, Scion engage. There's so many ways to protect the Kindred. And a lot of this game does ride on that Kindred for the side of Rawr. Kaisa, even though she is strong, she does have to get fairly close. Unlike the Kindred, where she gets Rapid Fire Cannon, she gets her stacks. When she gets to, I'm pretty sure it's 4 stacks, she gets that increased attack range. So for the side of Rawr, their goal in this game is just to protect that Kindred, whereas on the side of Beemos, it's just to completely smash that early game with the Pantheon. And if they can go even or get a bit ahead, for the side of Beemos, I feel like their mindset is, okay, we can team fight. We have a Nasus. We have the late game. Swain still does ridiculous amounts of damage and can tank. Pantheon, if he goes the Black Cleaver GA build, he does get tanky. And you still have a Lulu to protect your Ashe, who, at the end of the day, is a supportive AD carry, but can still do a lot of damage to everyone in the game. So I'm liking both teams. Both teams have their ups and downs, but I think this game solely does focus on the junglers. If the Kindred can avoid the Pantheon throughout the early to mid-ish game, I feel like Rawr is in a really good position to win.
Yeah, I think I have nothing else to contribute to the compositions here. Pretty much, you spelled it out here. You have the makings of a massive team fighting composition from the side of Rawr, and you're absolutely right. Kindred is pretty vital in making sure that the team gets to that point where they can team fight. Because if the Kindred, as long as avoids the Pantheon, then Kindred is not going to be set behind. It's not going to have a hard time trying to catch up on marks, get the extra range, get the extra damage in the kit, so that it does not have to solely rely on Kaisa to be the one carry. Because Orianna, while does have a lot of burst damage, is more of a utility carry, mainly in the command protect and the shockwave placements to either disengage or find a follow-up engage of some sort, maybe comboing that with the tidal wave. But I think one thing that we did miss in Beemo's commander is that even if the Pantheon for some reason does not get off the ground in this early game, you have this Nasus, and he's up against the Scion, who until recently was a huge lane bully, but after so many nerfs over the course of season 8, he's now just a simple tank in the top lane. His poke is not as strong, even with the Arcane Comet. The Nasus has plenty of sustain in his passive with preparing that with the Siphon Strike, and he can be such a huge split pushing threat. And if we get to that 40-minute phase, yeah, that could be a huge time for the team fight power on the side of Rawr. But that could also be a time where Nasus is hitting 1,000 stacks, and he's also has the Trinity Force, and he's just knocking, opening the gates. Shout outs to Trick 2G and Sir Ches for all those late night streams of just split pushing, running down as well. And my spectator crashed. So give me 1 second.
Yeah, I think all of our spectators crashed because pauses. Because Riot can kind of fix their meta, but they can't fix the spectator delay for us. So give us 1 second as we load back into the game. But going off of the Scion, right? The champion is getting buffs next patch. They are looking to give him more HP, and they do want him to be that just big, massive tank. 6,000 HP, sitting in the front line, screaming his head off like, "What are you gonna do to me?" So I am excited to see what will happen to Scion. I'm pretty sure I said Pantheon, not Scion, but you know what I mean.
I think we are all right. Looks like we are on the Rift, ladies and gentlemen. Currently looking about 54, 55 seconds into the game. Just a line of scrimmage here on the river, and no one is going to do any invasive level 1s. We're just having just a nice time, just a little bit of calm before the storm that will eventually erupt between these two teams here.
Yeah, you get that standard 5 point. Something to take note of. The Kai'Sa opted in to press the attack, which I find interesting as to why she would do that. Because in my mind, I feel either Fleet Footwork or Lethal Tempo, especially Fleet Footwork, is just a better keystone than press the attack on Kai'Sa at least. I like the Lethal Tempo on the Ashe. She does build a lot of attack speed. You build the boots, you build the Bork, you build Hurricane. Like, it's just a lot of attack speed. And if you can exceed that attack speed cap, it's just a really good time for the Ashe. So right. I'm kind of questioning it a little bit, but it is what it is. They know best.
Yeah, we would have to assume that Gandhi Donut, the ADC for the side of Rawr, is relying solely on Focus's sustain in lane to keep him topped off, and then is just going to go for maximum damage output, because I completely agree. I don't think the Kai'Sa typically builds Blade of the Rune King in the build path nowadays, but it can be flexible. We've seen many iterations. We've seen the Death Stance when it first came out, and then we saw more of the Nashor's Tooth full AP Kai'Sa build, and nowadays it's the crit build, Storm Razor into, I want to say, Hurricane and Infinity Edge. I could be wrong. It's been
a hot minute.
It has been a hot minute. Usually you just see Ashe and Varus these days on the Rift, and Sneaky Jack actually might be in a bad spot. He does have the flash. He's going to burn it now. Change is going to follow up, and that's just too easy for the jungler of Rawr. First blood is going to go over to the Kindred.
That was such a mistake for the side of Beemos. Pantheon had the advantage, but failed to... Like, he almost missed the smite in the bot lane scuttle. Goes straight to the top lane scuttle, but fails to realize his Nasus is getting pushed in by the Scion. So he loses all the pressure there, and Sneaky Jack tries to rotate over, but he's also getting pushed in as well. So the Orianna gets pressure before him, as Nasus is just going to completely smack up the Scion.
Ooh, we were talking about how Cleaver Master was pushing in LG the Real Gabe on this Nasus here. The level 1 Mocking Shout, I believe, with the Arcane Comet does provide him a lot of pushing power, but now that we're hitting the level 3, level 4 mark, he does have a couple more points into that Siphoning Strike, and he does pack a lot more punch with the Grasp of the Undying.
Thing that you got to realize is Kindred's here.
He is here. He's got the Mounting Dread for the slow. LG, the Real Gabe, will flash. Change does not have the flash, but the red buff and the slow might be enough. Just one more auto could do it, and a tumble is actually going to secure it. Cleaver Master, little trigger happy with the flash. Just wanted to make sure that it was not going to get away. That is already 2 kills for Kindred. And sort of, you were talking about how it's all really depends on this jungle matchup, and right now it looks like Change is off to a great start.
Well, the thing that you got to realize, that's 2 marks for her 4 minutes into the game. That is massive. If she can get her 4 marks before 15 minutes, this Kindred's going to be an animal and just unstoppable this entire game.
Yeah, and it's kind of disappointing that Introducing hasn't really done anything to answer the 2 kills that Change has gotten on the map, or the pressure that he's putting on both the mid lane and the top lane so far. We wanted to see the early ganks, the early pressure coming in from this Pantheon, but so far he's just been farming, and he's actually just getting out farmed. So far it's been a lackluster early game.
The thing is, Pantheon looks to cheese gank level 2 while the enemy laner is still level 1. And that would have been great for mid lane if Sneaky Jack started started E, which I'm pretty sure he did nonetheless. So if he would have level 2 ganked instead of going for the scuttle, which inevitably he lost, he could have probably burned the flash cleanse of the Orianna, made his mid lane, easier to deal with, and First Blood probably wouldn't have gone over to the Kindred. So, bit of disorientation by Introducing. So, I mean, kind of got to see what he decides to do for the rest of his clear. Because right now he's still farming, still trying to push out the Kindred, and it's not really working all too well.
Yeah, one of the disadvantages about Pantheon that you talked about, actually, LG the Real Gabe, he does not have the flash, but it's just a lot of damage coming out. Change is now looking for his 3rd gank of the day, and the Mounting Dread final mark is going to clip Galbi TG, giving him a 3rd kill of the game. God, Change is just all over the map on top of the game right now. And Cleaver Master is running out of mana on the top lane, so will not be able to push in LG the Real Gabe for far too long, but the poke is getting scary.
If we look at last week, Change was the reason as to why Rawr started to win their games. He completely takes over the jungle and makes sure that the enemy jungler is, 2 steps behind him. At this point, he's 3-0. He should be able just to hard carry this game for his team. He's been getting lucky in his ganks. His laners are following up for him, as we see Change just going. Jesus, that damage.
With that Berserker's Grease first purchase, it not only gives him a lot of mobility around the map, but just the raw attack speed being granted at 35% is probably one of the more cost-efficient attack speed items you can get in the game. And it just not only increases your clear speed, but also just how much damage output in combination with that press the attack keystone.
I mean, if you look into other regions, you start to see the top teams, they have just the better tier jungle. You go look at LCK, you see Peanut at the top of the rankings with Griffin X, for the reason that junglers just control the meta, and that's why you see streamers like PewDiePie say, "Wow, jungling is so easy to climb." Well, when they have so much influence onto the jungle or onto the map, there's not much laners can do. So Pantheon's supposed to be a counter to Kindred, but this Kindred, if he sees the Pantheon, can just kill him without hesitation at this point. And this is the difference between, a 3rd place team and a 6th place team. The jungler is just completely taking over the game and making sure the lanes that should be winning are winning, as we see Gabe going in.
He does have level 6, so he could channel his ultimate and get real big, get the cooldown reduction on his Siphoning Strike as well. It would give him a lot of trade damage. He's actually pulling, introducing towards the top lane. Sion still does not have flash for about 20 more seconds, and now he's going to channel the ultimate right here. But Sion does have the unstoppable onslaught, so he's going to be able to zoom out of there and back to safety under his turret. Actually, we got a tidal wave engage on the Cowboy DG. She does not have flash from before from the gank. Oh, that is a great crystal arrow, but it's not enough time to get Galbi TG away from danger. That's going to be a kill for the Kaisa. And we still actually got a little bit more action. One more. Oh, Jesus. Gandhi Donut popping off just from one gank. A double kill going over to the side of the 80 carry. And now Change has found introducing, has found LG, the real Gabe. He does have flash, has already used it, but the stun is not going to be enough. And there's a flash from the shockwave from Sneaky Jack. He actually gets the outplay there. There's just so much damn action happening on the freaking Rift here, Sordo. But after everything has come out, one kill was awarded to the side of Beemo Commanders, but many more were to the side of Rawr.
The thing is, introducing tried to go towards the red buff of the Kindred, still thinking that he could kill the Kindred. He was forced to flash over, the Kindred flashes after him, gets the kill onto the Pantheon because the Pantheon went back in. He knew he was dead, trying to save his Nasus, but it was just too late. Way too many slows by Clever Master, way too many slows by Change, and way too much damage. They were just all dead. Now, Sneaky Jack, he redeemed himself for giving up that first blood, flashes over the command shockwave, and just blows up Dark there. Make sure that he cannot play the game. Even though he's still down in CS, he can pretty much take over that mid lane himself now.
We're going to have to see how well Sneaky Jack can propel this small lead that he has earned for himself off of that solo kill. Because at this point, if you look at the win conditions that we were talking about Beemo's Commanders had, we said either introducing has to be able to get off the ground in the early game, which so far is not looking like it's going to happen. 5-0 Kindred versus 0-1 Pantheon. I mean...
let the stats speak for themselves, you know?
Let the stats speak. And then you have your Nasus split pusher, which he can get bigger in the late game. Actually, we have a steal attempt from introducing, but he misses the smite. He didn't even use it. A Change is going to be able to take him down. That's his 6th kill of the game. Tidal Wave is going to come in, clip Sneaky Jack, and his lead is now faltered. And it looks like Bing Bong, poor Bing Bong. He had no support there, and it was just a 1v2 situation. Another double kill coming in for Gandhi Donut. And Sordo, I don't want to call anything and jinx anything, but this looks like this game is over.
Yeah, it's looking about over as we see first tower going over to the Kaisa. But, I mean, yeah. Like, I don't like calling games early, but we're almost at a 6k deficit for the side of Beemos. The only advantage, quote-unquote, that you can say is top lane due to the CS lead. But every other lane and the jungle is just getting smashed. Kaisa's 4-0, Kindred 6-0. You have this Sion that's still scaling, whether you like it or not, and is just completely smashing the Nasus at this point. Like, there's just nothing that Beemos can do right now. The only thing they need to do is help the mid laner, and they'll be alright. But we see Pantheon coming up, though.
Yeah, introducing is going to get the stun, but the unstoppable onslaught does not get canceled by the Aegis of... I don't even know what it is. It's Aegis of something.
Just Pantheon W.
Yeah, just Pantheon W. The good old shield that stuns you in the face for 1 second. But because he didn't jump in front of Sion's character model, it was to the side. It did not stop the ultimate.
Yeah, he didn't have minions in front of the Sion, so he couldn't really do much of anything as we see the Nevermove come out. Ooh, okay.
Unfortunately, Sneaky Jack could not pop his ultimate preemptively to get the final burst down, so one more auto could have done it for Aquatic Dark, but the cleanse does save his life. And it looks like introducing an LG the real Gabe after forcing Cleaver Master away. They will try and take down his turret right here. This could be interesting for Sneaky Jack, but the press the attack mastery going to be enough damage, and Change is actually going to pick up that kill for that one, and now Cleaver Master is in a 1v2 situation once again.
He doesn't care.
Really have that much mana, so the spear shots are not going to come in, and actually he might be able to turn this around. LG, the real Gabe, also doesn't have any mana. He's got one siphoning strike, and that's it. Kai'Sa lands it. There's the killer instinct. He's going to dash in, and he's going to pick himself another kill, and Cleaver Master is going to save himself one as well, as compensation for setting up a 1v2 bait so beautifully.
This game is basically over. This Kai'Sa is so strong, and Rawr is just completely out-rotating the side of Beemos. Beemos, I love you, but you guys need to rethink your draft and rethink how you guys are going to rotate around the map. That at this point, you guys are just getting smashed.
This is usually the point in solo queue where every member of the team unanimously FFs at 15 minutes. Because there are times when people are like, no, guys, we got late game. We believe. But if you look at the late game win condition in LG the Real Gabe, he's losing the matchup against Nasus. He hasn't completed his training course yet. Jesus, Chance! Oh my god. Change. Introducing into Pocket Change himself. He picks up his 8th kill of the game. I mean, it doesn't even matter at this point. The Black Cleaver almost coming in for Change, whereas Introducing just barely finished his Warrior Champion. Still
he's gonna dive mid.
Oh, he's just gonna go for more. He has the Lamb's Respite. I don't even think he's ever used it this game here, Sordo. He's just...
He hasn't. Oh, yes.
This is
the only thing that hasn't happened yet is that the Nexus explodes. This game, 15 minutes in, it's already a 10k gold lead. This is disgusting. Like, right now, this game does not look like Plat versus Plat, I'm sorry to say. And that really is an insult, and I'm sorry, but it does not look like a Plat versus Plat game. There should not be a 10k gold difference at 15 minutes. Everyone just got smashed.
At this point, Sordo, it's just, what can you even do as Beemo's commanders? What do you just play the game for the sense of pride and try to get as many kills as you can before your Nexus eventually explodes? Or do you count on Rawr being over-aggressive, overconfident, and underestimating any potential chance of a turnaround? Because at this point, even, like, this would be the point where professional teams just say, yeah, I mean, at this point, we can just run it down. But I mean, this is Platinum League. It's not Diamonds or Challengers, and clearly we're not seeing some Platinum play level either. And Sneaky Jack, I mean, it's just gone. That absolutely, Arrow 404, Sneaky Jack is not to be found. Rift Herald's going to be crashing into the turret. Galbi TG is going to fall. Ash Arrow's not going to do anything. Change is just flashing in. He's just popping off. He's giving us quite the show. He has so much confidence on this Kindred right now, and it's just not even funny. Being a frontline man for himself, the Killer Instinct is going to come in. He's going to go in on the Bing Bong, and LG, the Real Gabe, is going to go in, and holy moly, the Void Seeker will be able to find the final mark onto LG, the Real Gabe, and now it's just Ash and Sneaky Jack on the Swain. They're popping the Lamb's Respite just to get a little bit of health back. They're going to push in, and ladies and gentlemen, I believe the first game of the best of 3 series we have here will be ended within wow, Caster's Curse. All right, I take that back. Looks like Beemos will not go down without a fight quite yet.
Ooh, that damage. But everyone's just getting deleted. The Orianna isn't even fed, and that command shockwave is just blowing people up. This is just... It's just one death mid lane. Stop them from getting a perfect game, I'm realizing. Like, this is just manslaughter at this point. Like, it's just not a fun time.
Did you see the damage from Cleaver Master on the Bing Bong? He doesn't even have an item completed. He's just so far ahead in levels. It's just the cute.
Oh my goodness. He tried to dodge.
The flash. Well, you know what? Beemos, you got a flash out of the tank. Congratulations.
I'm a call worth.
Yeah, that's a golf clap right there.
I think one of the biggest issues right now is itemization. So you have the Nasus, right? And he was doing all right in the lane. He wasn't winning, but he wasn't losing as hard, as I'll say, as everyone else. I don't know why the real Gabe would decide to go Triforce, as it looks like he's going. Instead, I would have much rather liked to see the Ice Gauntlet try to survive lane, especially the fact that you have the 280 champions fed to all hell. I'm kind of questioning his ideology in getting. Oh god, this Kindred's gonna blow him up. Bye, Jack.
No stopwatch. Yeah, Sneaky Jack, not even having anything to say. He just stood there. He accepted his fate. It was too far extended without any proper vision. And you know, sort of we've already explained and touched about this is looking like a smash. But let's explain to the audience what exactly happened here that caused the smash to happen. Change got 2 beautiful ganks off.
Yep.
Including First Blood, right? And then it led into Berserker Grease. And introducing did absolutely nothing. Or at least from our point of view, it didn't really seem like he did much. He contested a Scuttle Crab, which was marked from Change, but then Change just answered with gank in the mid lane. And, well, we have a last-ditch effort here, but the Shockwave is going to land and completely annihilate Galbi TG. It's going to keep Bing Bong on the backside of the fight, but it looks like they are getting a couple kills onto Aquatic Dark. The Lamb's Respite will be forced, and Change is actually all by himself right here. Where is the rest of his team, by the way? It looks like Cleaver Master is actually walking down to join the rest of the bot lane and just trying to corral the minions in. Like, why are you even hitting the inhibitor? You could just hit the Nexus at this point, but maybe they just don't want to end the game quite yet. Tidal Wave will come in. The BM introducing, coming down, and for a small glimmer of hope that was seen after shutting down Change, ruining his perfect KDA, it all goes to waste as Rawr is going to end the game as soon as Gandhi Donut feels like stop picking up kills.
That's a GG, boys. 10-0 in towers, 27-3 in kills. That's just disgusting. It's just vile. This should not happen in a game of League of Legends. We were talking about what happened early game. The issue was the jungler for Beemos just did nothing early. Introducing did absolutely nothing. And as a Pantheon, you're an early game champion. You need to focus on doing things early game. So I don't know. I really don't know what you can really take away from this game. The only big mistake that was made was from introducing and Sneaky Jack. The fact that Sneaky Jack went over into the river without any vision, it was 3v1, force flash, give up first blood. And then introducing just didn't really gank. You couldn't get a single one off, getting a kill. And just died to the Kindred. So it's just a lot of early game mistakes that snowballed into them just losing the game in a sense. Bot lane, they got 2v2'd, I think, once. So it's picking better matchups and realizing that Change is going to be all over the map, and you have to play around that. You have to pick lanes that are okay in getting ganked, but on the other hand, if you're just going to farm, pick a jungler that can farm, not one that relies on getting kills early.
Yeah. And just one thing that probably speaks the most volumes about this game is just how fast Change got big. I think he was at 5 kills before 10 minutes. And normally, whenever you see like a jungler start popping off, usually there'll be like 3 kills, and it's still manageable. You have, assuming you drafted certain champions with a lot of utility, and which to their credit they kind of did in the Ashe pick and the Lulu. You have the global ultimate to engage fights, and you have the Swain that can play off of any CC. But the thing that you're absolutely right on is that Pantheon is an early game jungler. He's not someone that gets a lot of benefit off of farming camps or power farming, and just seeing him, the best or the most aggressive thing that he did pre 5 minutes was contest Scuttle Crab and then go annihilate the crap out of his buffs is pretty disappointing.
Yeah, no, he went into a top lane where Sion was already tanky. He had it was just a yikes. It just did not end well for Beemo Commando. So hopefully they can readjust, not be tilted, and have the correct mindset going into game 2. So
Yeah. And we will throw it back for an intermission as we're getting ready for that second set game. Hopefully, Beemos bring something that is actually real.
right.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are now going to get into the second game between the series of Beemo Commandos versus Rawr. And after a, dare I say, 18 plus stream game, that was quite the slaughter coming out from Rawr off of the back of Change's immaculate early game. Just being able to snowball the bot lane, the mid lane, and the top lane to success. And he practically looked like it was just 1v9ing that game.
Yeah, it was just a straight thrashing. That's all that happened. But I'm hoping that Beemos, reset their mindset and are coming into this game, that they can win because they still can. Everyone does have bad games. And I'm hoping they took a step back, looked at their draft, look at what they did incorrectly versus Rawr, and can fix it for this game, because now is where you got to get serious if you want to pull off the reverse sweep.
It would have to be quite the change, as it really didn't seem like any synergy or idea of what their win condition was or how to properly execute knowledge was there. But we're finally looking at bans now. Seems like the Volley Bear, he's the first ban from the side of Rawr, and Vayne will be the answer for now from Beemo's Commandos, as we're looking at the second ban for Rawr here.
Yeah, no, these are just repeat bans from last game, and we're starting to see, different bans. But the Volibear, Ezreal, Vayne are still all bans from last game, Vayne being a completely and utterly target ban towards Grande Donuts, Ezreal being a ban towards Bing Bong. But then we're starting to see that Kindred, because they don't want Change to get another game on that Kindred and just pop off and smash everyone.
Absolutely. And the Kaisa looks like has also been a follow-up ban for the side of Beemo's Commandos as well. So both the two strong marksmen that popped off early game are going to be taken away from the side of Rawr. The Nocturne ban still being banned on the side of Rawr. As you said, it was just mirror bans, but the Aatrox is open. It looks like Cleaver Master wants to get his hands on the Darkened Blade.
Yeah, no. Aatrox is still a really strong champion. So you can still flex in the mid, because he still does the cheese where he just pushes you in and then goes invades the enemy jungler and just makes their life a living hell as well. But it all really does depend on Beemo, what jungler they choose, because in some instances, the Aatrox can't really do anything into champions like Pantheon again, but I don't think Beemos is going to ever pick Pantheon again.
Yeah, and it looks like the picks are actually just flying in from the side of Beemos. They have the fire. They want to be able to fight back, and they do have quite the change in champions. This time, the Jax and the Jarvan being locked in from what I'm assuming the top lane and the jungle, respectively. And it looks like Change and Aquatic Dark have answered with the Lee Sin and the Yasuo, so that will mean for sure the Aatrox will be going into the top lane, answering that Jax. But that Lee Sin Yasuo combo is one of the old tried and true combos. Dragon's Rage into Last Breath definitely is a great pick opportunity.
Oh, it's just deadly. And especially later on into the game where Lee Sin does, fall off. If Change can have a performance that he did last game, and, even if they get into the mid game, if he goes flash kicks the ADC forward or kicks the Orianna forward, a good Last Breath into the Aatrox Qs, she's just gonna, 404, Orianna not found. That's how this game is gonna go. So this Lee Sin, I feel it's another game again where it's like junglers matter. Lee Sin and Jarvan, they both kind of fall off when you start to hit that late game. But they're both great for engage, great for disengage. J4 kind of, wins that out as the game goes on later. But Lee Sin is still the king of the jungle. He still wins the early game really, really hard. So I'm curious to see how Change fares in this game, seeing as J4, if he's good enough, can just, completely shut down a Lee Sin.
And we'll definitely have to see. And with the recent changes to Lee Sin. In fact, all the small little touches of life that Riot Games has graciously and generously given Lee
Yeah,
Sin, even though I think true Lee Sin mains didn't really need them, they would always be able to perform the champion well. But now they're like, wow, well, my champion just feels overtuned right now. The main buff that I want to look at was the Q change, where instead of being a percent max health or percent missing health damage on the resonating strike, it is now just basically doubling how much ever bonus AD you have, which means it is a huge buff to full AD, like assassin Lee Sin style.
yeah, it's kind of disgusting. You start to get into solo queue and you see a Fed Lee Sin, his Q doing 1,000 damage when you're an AD carry who has 1,200 HP, and you're just sitting there like, League of Legends is really fun right now. Like, I am enjoying this game. 80 season 2K18. Omega low.
To be fair, I don't think ADC's lives have been that fun for the past few patches and all the changes with the mages. But speaking of ADCs, with the crit changes, of course, we now have some old familiar faces, especially the Caitlyn being locked in for Bing Bong here. But it has been answered by Gandhi Donut on the Varus, which we have seen plenty of. And the Varus in itself, not necessarily a flex pick in terms of lanes, but a flex pick in style. He can either go that full poke AD lethality Comet Varus, or he can go more of an attack speed with the lethal tempo.
Yeah, no. Something that we forgot to touch on is that Beemos did lose 2 bans due to the changes in their roster, and it's just a yikes. And they really did need those last 2 bans, to get rid of the Yasuo that they banned last game. But now the Yasuo is still kind of in an advantageous matchup. He does get the Orianna match. She is taking barrier, but I still think the Yasuo can win this game, especially with the Lee Sin. I'm really liking that mid jungle matchup, on the side of Rawr.
Yeah, and then one thing we do have to look at mainly is not only that mid jungle matchup, but the just overall early game presence that the side of Rawr has here. I mean, good God, Aatrox, lane bully, Yasuo, lane bully, Varus. If he goes lethality poke Comet, yeah, he is going up against the Caitlyn, and the range advantage can be daunting for a little bit, but pair it up with a Morgana, and if she is able to land the Dark Bindings, last game it was a Nami on the side of
Rawr.
For Rawr. So, and this time, well, Gabby TG had the Lulu before, does not lock in the Nami as an answer for more sustain, has the Karma instead. It means a little more poking power and a little bit of shields, but not necessarily true sustain. So more than likely, Caitlyn will have to go the fleet of footwork to be able to survive against the deadly poke that can come from this Morgana and Varus bot lane.
I think the Caitlyn Karma lane for the side of Beemos, I think Beemos is just trying to actually have a winning lane. That all of their other lanes, and even the jungle matchup a little bit, they lose. But, going Caitlyn Karma, they secure their late game, they secure the lane poke, and they can carry this game. The Karma does go Ardent Sensor, goes Redemption, peels for the Caitlyn, hope to God that she gets to, those 4 items, and can just mow down everyone. Because on the side of both teams, they don't really have a true tank. Unless J4 wants to go, that Cinderhulk disgusting build that I hate as a J4 player. Instead of going, whether it is Cinderhulk into Titanic, Black Cleaver, or even going full lethality. Because full lethality, oh, sweet Jesus. You'll blow up anyone. So I'm curious to see what the builds entail. The one that I'm in particular curious about is the Varus. So with lethality Varus that we're starting to see more and more, you play it into teams that don't have a true tank. And would you look at that, Beemos didn't draft any tanks. They drafted 2 bruisers, a mage, an ADC, and a shielder. So I'm kind of seeing lethality Varus here because, you know, one Q, you know, you EQ or RQ, that's going to do 1,000 damage to anyone on the side of Beemos. And I don't really think on the side of Beemos you want to take 1,000 damage to start off a fight.
Yeah, and then not to mention that the W active now has an execute added on to your next piercing arrow. And the fact that Beemos doesn't have any real true sustain from any of these champions here, because we talked about before, the Karma just shields. Doesn't really provide any healing capabilities whatsoever unless she's able to invest in Redemption or an Athene's Unholy Grail. But in a sieging situation, if Gandhi Donut gets ahead on this Varus, gets those couple of lethality items, I mean, the poke is going to be so nasty, like you pointed out, Sordo. And they'll just have to succeed towers, and they'll be forced to use their methods of engage. The Cataclysm Shockwave combo will probably be their most ideal and reliable one to be able to pull off. But then other than that, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to have Mantra Shield to just run at them. I mean, you can kite them back with the Chain of Corruptions from Varus. You have Soul Shackles to disengage. You have Last Breath off of a knockup from Change, or even Cleaver Master. So this is going to be pretty rough for Beemos, just pretty much on almost all stages of the game. The only way I see Beemos actually making it out alive is if they somehow actually beat their lanes. If Bing Bong and Gabi DG can get ahead, they start the sieging push, and then Aquatic Dark can Change, Cleaver Master, somehow lose their lane matchups. Because then all that early game pressure is gone. And if you look at the terms of scaling potential from the side of Rawr, there's not much there. I mean, this is a full AD composition. If Introducing is just able to optimize into a Cinder Hulk tank build, he can just soak up all that damage.
Yeah, you are right. I feel like the composition for Beemos, in a sense, mimics that of Illumination, where with Illumination, they have you are being muted always on the Jax, even though most of the time it's banned against him. But when he's on that Jax, he just completely splits the map in half. It's like, all right, you have to send 2 towards me or I'm going to end the game. Like, what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. So if the real Gabe can get to that point, just completely smashes the Aatrox, once Jax gets Trinity Force, if he's even or slightly ahead, the Aatrox can't really do much of anything into the Jax. Yes, he still does damage. Yes, he still has the World Ender. But, I mean, it's still a Jax at the end of the day. So it really does come down to the jungle matchup. And J4 is starting the blue. So I expect him to go, you know, blue into Scuttle, and then maybe gank, or if not red, gank top or mid. So he needs to really help those losing matchups, because top does lose one-on-one until Jax gets the Trinity Force. Orianna does lose the 1v1 against the Yasuo unless the Yasuo just ints. So, I mean, like, I don't know. Rawr picked really good early to mid-game champions. And, you know, we can't discount Yasuo and Aatrox late game. Whether they are full AD or not, they still do massive amounts of damage. Even that Q right now is still doing, you know, 62 damage 2 minutes into the game. That's still substantial amounts of damage. You can't discount that.
You absolutely can't. And now that we're finally starting up the game 2 minutes so far, we have seen Change go straight from red buff to blue buff, whereas Introducing is actually taking a longer route. Started with the Wolves, as we see Aquatic Dark getting a nice couple hits onto Sneaky Jack, already chunking him to about 200, 300 health. He's going to force one of the pots already coming out from the Orianna for lack of sustain. Actually going to be both pots, so already Aquatic Dark setting up his lane for success.
Oh god, this is not gonna. Oh no, please!
Does not have
no.
a ward. He does actually
Flash?
have the ward hop. Can he flash Q? He's gonna land and he's gonna go in. He's gonna get the first blood. Can he get killed though?
Oh,
no. Sneaky Jack just does not have enough damage follow-up to be able to punish that dive. And Change, once again, already a step ahead against his jungle opponent.
And the domination starts yet again. Introducing made the same mistake that he did the last time. He made bad jungle, pathings, especially as a J4, who should have definitely just gone, blue to red, and then tried to do something. He wouldn't have gotten contested on the red buff, and he wouldn't have died there. So you trade flashes, but you also trade that kill, and now your back is just, it's a mess.
It is a mess. I mean, he has to go Hunter's Potion just to keep him topped off in the jungle. We saw how bad the sustain was coming in after he had cleared wolves. He was almost about 200 health, which made Change's life so much easier in getting the easy execute. And I mean, from here, introducing, just trying to clear AoE camps this early on is so brutal as a Jarvan.
Yeah, no. If he wanted to clear another camp and not do a Scuttle Crab, not run into the risk of running into the Lee Sin, he should have definitely done the Gromp instead, because that could have translated into a gank bot. Yes, you do give up the pressure onto your red buff, but you don't die. You have the opportunity to get a kill bot or burn all the summoners. And then on top of that, you also get the Scuttle Crab bot lane. So there's a lot of different things that he could have done, and he, in terms of introducing, but I feel like he chose the worst out of the bunch, and right now he's definitely going to be paying for it.
Yeah, it could speak to the lack of confidence that introducing has, or maybe he's just really shook up after that first game demolished from Change's Kindred, and now Change is just gonna find him again. He does not have enough mana to Dragon Spear back to the flag, but actually Change cannot keep up as they both burned Flash last time, remember, and he was chunking. Oh no.
Oh please, no, God, no, please. Okay. That is not worth.
Yeah, Aquatic Dark, he was so over eager to just make sure they could get the kill onto introducing, but he's already died. He's not worth that much gold, and killing him, trading both of your sums for just to secure a kill onto a 10 health target, yeah, definitely not worth.
It would have been better off for him to go back into the lane, get the CS. Yes, you do make the life of introducing a living hell, but you do concede a lot of your kill pressure mid. So, at the end of the day, it is worth for Beemos. The Orianna now has a kill. Even though she's down in CS, this does give her Lost Chapter, which allows her to sustain in lane. So, I really am, I'm curious to see what Aquatic Dark's mindset was to go for that. I feel like he did tunnel vision in a little. So, we're going to have to see. But he does hit level 6, which is huge for this mid lane matchup.
Yeah, well, definitely will. And just unfortunately for introducing, I mean, he's set far behind, but at this point, I hope he just, for the sake of Beemos, they're going to have to just go straight into the Cinderhulk build. Just be a tank, dude. Just be a team player. Play the role for your team as the front line. Try to set up the engages with the Cataclysm. That's the best thing you're going to be able to do at this point. You're so far behind. And maybe off of the strength of those engages with Sneaky Jack, now that he does have a kill and a little bit of gold back in his pocket, I mean, maybe that's the avenue that Beemos looks for.
Yeah, the issue also becomes for Beemos that if oh wait, the Jack's just going in.
Oh, but Cleaver Master still hasn't popped World Ender yet, and LG the Real Gabe popped his own ultimate, and he's just going to be losing out on that armor and MR soon. Now forces Cleaver Master to get the World Master, but Cleaver Master does have the sustain with the passive, and actually wants to fancy something here. He's now going to pop the World Ender passive here, but LG the Real Gabe does not have Counter-Strike anymore. Can he win this matchup? The flash is going to not come in for LG the Real Gabe, but you can see the way he's positioning. He wants to go aggressively, and there's the flash leap strike, I should say. And he does get the kill on the Cleaver Master. I feel that was a little disrespectful. He should have known that Jax could have made that play, but Gandhi Donut is going to fight back Karma and Bing Bong here, preventing them from getting the dragon. Change doing a great job picking up that Mountain Drake.
That Ignite was questionable, but to talk about the top play, yeah, no, it was a little bit disrespectful for Cleaver Master. I feel like he was counting down the Counter-Strike, and he's like, oh, I don't really have to flash. He doesn't have Counter-Strike up. I'll be fine. Gets just clapped. He doesn't realize that, you know, the Jax has Sheen. His empowered W does a lot of damage. And, yeah, no, it's just, that's disrespectful. That's basically what just happened.
Well, one of the things that we did talk about, Sordo, and the win conditions was, I mean, if Beemos can actually outplay their individual lane opponents, right now LG the Real Gabe is showing up in this lane matchup as normally it would be favored for the Aatrox with the greater sustain. Change is actually looking for Introducing's gonna flash over, but Introducing also has his own flash, so I feel like that was a little over eager. Change does use the Dragon's Rage, is gonna go back in, just showing and the amount of dominating damage that he can do, but in all reality, yeah, he did. Oh, okay,
that. Literally, that's all that matters. Yes, the flash was a bit too much. He could have probably just ward hopped over if he had it, but I feel he wanted to get the kick off, but the EQ from J4 just went off in time. So it was good thinking. I like where Change's head is right now, because he knows that he's in the driver's seat this game. He knows that this game is just completely his to take over. So I like what he's doing. I like the invades. He's going with, you know, pressure from his lanes. Both lanes are pushing in onto the top side. So I'm liking what Lee Sin's doing. And then on top of that, he does steal the red buff. He's now 2 levels up, and Last Breath.
Oh man, actually, in the camera could not figure out which lane to go in on. The action was coming up. It actually was kind of cool. Aquatic Dark and Cleaver Masters landing both of their knockups at the same time. And Cleaver Masters did force back LG the Real Gabe. And because he had already used teleport, he's going to have to take the long walk of shame, but not too shameful as he did not die. So good on his part for not greeting it out. But Aquatic Dark, he already used Last Breath, but he didn't get that much damage back on the Sneaky Jack, or at least if he burned pots. I didn't see any pots at the beginning.
No, he didn't burn anything. We just see the engage again. Oh my goodness.
Change is basically just going into the jungle, as you pointed out, and just trying to keep back Introducing. I mean, this is what you want to do on aggressive junglers like Lee Sin, like Nidalee, like Kha'Zix. You just want to force them back, never allow them to feel comfortable in their own jungle. Always make them question, is the enemy jungler going to come and try to mess with me right now? As long as you're putting damage onto them, then the sustain factor comes in place for Introducing, and he has to make up his mind on whether he needs to back earlier than he normally would like to, or just have to risk it and then risk getting clapped again by the by Change.
There's almost a 30 CS differential in the jungle right now. Almost 40, yeah, 40 CS differential right now. Like, Lee Sin is just chilling with almost 2k gold in his pocket. He is going to be a monster this game, and Jax is just getting aged on.
Yeah, he does pop the World Ender, but Introducing is here for the assistance, and it will provide his top laner. Oh, what a great combo! Gandhi Donut with the Chain of Corruptions into Soul Shackles from Focus. He might be able to get a double, but cannot chase too far forward. Does not want to burn the flash for it yet. The Q will not connect onto Bing Bong. It will force him away from lane, but Sneaky Jack is on the bot side of the map. And it looks like Aquatic Dark has also made his way to the top side of the map. Does he actually want to... I don't know if you want a 1v2.
This is a yikes.
Oh, no. He went in too soon. Change could have been there for the kick. He will get the kill onto Introducing, but the question is, can he out 1v1 LG the Real Gabe? And I think he's already found out the answer for that. He cannot. He just disrespects his ability to be able to engage once again. The Real Gabe coming in as a real hero. And Bing Bong also getting a surprise kill onto Gandhi Donut. What is happening here, Sordo?
This is just complete disrespect for the side of Rawr. They were sitting on so much gold. Now you see the Lee Sin finally went back, finished his warrior, got Tab Eyes. Look at all those items that he just got. He had the Blue Smite and Caulfield's Warhammer. Imagine if he had Warrior, Tab Eyes, and that when he tried to make that play. Yes, you do kill Introducing, but you give another kill over to the Jax. And that was the big difference. The Jax now has 3 parts of the Trinity Force, has Corrupting Potion, has Boots. This Aatrox stands no chance against this Jax right now. He's down 1,000 gold to the Jax. Yes, you have Tab Eyes, but Jax doesn't give a damn. he is just going to run you down and make sure you don't get to play League of Legends anymore.
That split push win condition is starting to look even more realistic. We know that was the win condition for the side of Beemo in the last game if Introducing didn't pop off the Pantheon. But LG the Real Gabe was losing the 1v1 as Nasus versus the Sion. But now on this Jax versus the Aatrox, things definitely look a lot more in his favor this time around.
Yeah, no, and then something else to talk on. The Yasuo is also losing mid. He's still down, you know, a kill. He's died twice. Yes, he has a CS lead, but he's supposed to have a CS lead here. And, ooh, God.
Introducing wanted to get something more here. Aquatic Dark, Caster Curse coming in from Sordo as...
The usual here.
The
That's
stuff. Man, piercing arrow coming in clutch as Galbi TG is sent to the bottom of the gulag. Cleaver Master, Pop of the World Ender, wants to get the fight back onto the Real Gabe. Can he land the final Dark and Blade knock him? No, he's just trying to get as much minions as he can. He already is death. Now the Counter-Strike will land. Oh, no way! The Real Gabe does have the flash and will get shut down by Cleaver Master as he took that one last turret shot. Oh, Bing Bong with the ace in the hole is not going to do enough damage to send Gandhi Donut to his death. And it looks like Gandhi and Focus should be able to push in this lane with success. And I just realized, Sordo, that Bing Bong has lethal tempo. What are your thoughts on
lethal tempo is alright on Caitlyn. It's not, you know, never mind.
Nothing to speak here. Change just, you know, doing the usual. Absolutely destroying Introducing at this point. So that feels bad for him, of course.
Yeah, I hate to, you know, continue to talk about it, but Introducing is just getting outclassed right now. It's a shame, but it happens. It is what it is. At least he's doing the right thing and isn't in the solo queue mentality that, oh, I'm just gonna go damage, screw this, I can still beat him, Bro, you're 0-4, go tank. And you know, like, thank God that he's doing it, because he will be useful for his team as the game progresses. He still has his EQ, he still has Cataclysm, and especially if he ends up going, you know, Knight's Vow, Locket, stuff like that, more supportive items, he's going to be really useful, as Jax is just smacking up the Aatrox. Holy hell.
The Trinity Force looks like has already been completed on his side. And now, you were talking about that power spike coming in. As soon as the Trinity Force comes in, he's just going to start smashing the Aatrox. I mean, he was smashing the Aatrox just with the Sheen. So now that you have twice the base damage on top of your autos whenever you have those Sheen procs, it's just going to be absolute destruction in this top lane. And if he starts split pushing without any contestation from Change or Aquatic Dark or even the rest of his team, it's not going to be pretty. Cleaver Masters does not have World Ender, so he's just going to die eventually to LG the Real Gabe. But Change is going to try to come in at the last second, will get the shutdown kill onto LG the Real Gabe. And now there's the kick into Last Breath that we were talking about. Even though it is on to Introducing, it's still damn pretty to watch.
Yeah, and that's just Rawr out-rotating Beemos, and that's the same thing that happened last game. We're going to see, you know, second tower go down as well, top lane. And even though the Jax is 5-2, it doesn't really matter when the mid laner can roam up and the jungler is this fed. You don't have adequate wards, and at the end of the day, you're going to lose the 1v3. So, I mean, you're not that strong. He's strong, don't get me wrong, but he's not that strong to 1v3.
Now the shutdown gold going over to Change. Would like to see more aggressive items coming in as he is finishing that Black Cleaver. Oh man, blue suede shoes. Nicely done from Galbi TG, but is not able to dodge the piercing arrow. Now puts him at lethal. Ace in the hole, just trying to get some poke back. Damn, that was a lot of damage. And maybe I was just confused by the black shield susceptibly. Oh, Cleaver Master is on the bot side of the map. Gonna get the Infernal Train. Is gonna get locked down. Sneaky Jack here. He's going to be gone for this world. He does have the flash, so he's going to get over. And that's a great shockwave getting the disengagement. But man, Aquatic Dart connecting with the final Q is able to get the pick up 2 kills here. Cleaver Master finally living his fantasy of being the world ender. Doesn't have to deal with the BS in the top lane against the Jax. That's a triple kill for Aquatic Dart, and it's almost a near ace. And LG the Real Gabe, all he can do is just pray to God he can get something off of this split push.
This is how you deal with a split-pushing Jax. You send 4 into the bot lane and just kill everyone else. If you group up, you will outpush a Jax. Now, in this instance, they're taking the jungle. No one is really responding to the Jax. But in this case, you're getting lucky because you're so early into the game. The Jax still doesn't have the Sterix Gauge. He doesn't have, T-Mat into Titanic Hydra. So you're getting away with tiny rotational mistakes, but you still manage to clean up 4 people. You make sure introducing is still just useless at this point. He does get he didn't even get Cataclysm off. So right now, this is looking like a yikes for Beemo, but they can still pull this back a little bit. Their glimmer and hope right now is all on the real game.
As much as a hard time we are given introducing, we're not personally trying to attack him, and we're just pretty much, we look at the stats, we look at his pathing early game, and it spells it all out right there. He has not been performing well, neither in these 2 games, and sometimes it just happens. The mental attitude is screwed off. Maybe he had a bad argument with someone going into the game. Maybe just didn't have the right preparation going into the series. But at this point, you have to find a way to be able to shrug off all the mistakes you made. And you have to accept, you know what, I am going tank. Even if I can't find the Dream Engage, sometimes I just got to know and have the presence of mind when to just Cataclysm and then just use the Flag and Drag to disengage. Sometimes locking down key targets will be enough, and Gandhi Donut's already trying to lock down a key target of his own. Just one more auto should be able to do it, but Bingwan is trying to do his damn best to kite it out, but unfortunately, he's not going to be able to get away.
Yeah, no. Again, you don't have the information as to where anyone on the side of Rawr is, so I completely... Okay, hello.
Oh man, Aquatic Dark. He had the kick there ready, but unfortunately the shockwave came in clutch from Sneaky Jack, was able to stun them up long enough so that Aquatic Dark was not able to follow up for the last breath onto introducing. That definitely could have given him an escape route of some sort, but just good teamwork coming in from Beemos, being able to lock down the mid laner here.
And this is the over-aggression that we were talking about earlier. We are basically waiting to see if Rawr is going to overcommit to stuff. Now, the Infernal Drake is started for the side of Beemos, but oh god.
Speaking of overcommitment, I mean, without a Yasuo down, Cleaver Master is feeling pretty bold here, and that's the Cataclysm. It does lock up 3 members, but unfortunately, there's no Shockwave or really much AoE damage to follow up. They're trying their damn best, though. Beemo's trying to get as much kiting as they can. Ace in the hole will come through, but not clipping any of the lethal targets here. That does force Rawr away from this Infernal Dragon, but I don't think Beemos really wants to contest it either.
I mean, that's all that Rawr wanted to do. They wanted to get him off the Infernal Drake, and that's exactly what they did. Now, everyone's backing. They do get the opportunity to clear vision, and they're going to start up the Infernal Drake, which... Ooh, this might be a yikes.
Cleaver Master does use the TP, and without LG, the real Gabe, to be able to answer... I'm not sure about that TP. I guess it was necessary to say, all right, there's no way that you can contest an Infernal Drake. That is double Infernal now, plus the Mountain Drake for the side of Rawr. So if we did question a little bit about their late game scaling, maybe the Infernal bonus AD will be able to make up for that.
Yeah, you can basically throw that question mark out the window. And then on top of that, Rawr is no longer full AD. They have the Varus going the AP hybrid build. So at the end of the day, you can't itemize, full armor versus this team. And then to top that all off, Yasuo does get, armor penetration through his ult. So this game is turning into a little bit of a slapping for the side of Beemos, but they can still come back into this game, but oh gosh.
Yeah, good night, Galby. TG could not escape the grasp of the Infernal Chains, pulled her back to her death, and without the support there, that means no shields to be able to protect themselves from any of this poke or siege that might want to come in from Rawr here.
Yeah, the Karma just happened to flash half a second too late. Flash still got pulled in by the Infernal Chains. And, if you get hit like that and you're slowed like that, you should just flash instinctively to get out, but tries to be greedy and pays the ultimate for it.
Oh man, man. Cleaver Master just wants to go in. He's using the World Ender to just soak up as much damage as he can. Cataclysm will lock down 4 members here, but the Shockwave has already been used. It did take down a couple members in Cleaver Master and Aquatic Dark, and now it's actually a 3-on-3 situation here. Condi Donut is going to have to be able to kite away. Focus misses the Dark Binding. He's not going to be able to lock down any more members here. The root here is going to come down for Galbi TG, but the Black Shield does cancel out the CC. Bing Bong still is playing with fire here. He knows that he has the advantage. Ace in the hole will come out. Galbi TG could kill him with the Mantra Q, but the heal comes out. They're both flashing in. They get the shutdown gold onto Gandhi Donut, and Change, I don't think you want this fight, my friend. You've only got about 500 health to contest against 3 members. And, oh man, Sordo, just going back to your over-aggression point, I think they just went a little too far in.
Yeah, they wanted to force something that didn't really need to be forced. On the side of Rawr, they have the poke. So why try to go in like that when you could just poke with Piercing Arrow, you can poke with Resonating Strike, and just completely, make sure that Beemos cannot contest the tower. Now, I will say it was a good engage onto the real Gabe. He is their carry, and they blew him up, but they used everything onto him, and he is going a tank variant build as Orianna just, good night.
Unlucky for Sneaky Jack. Just Aatrox things. Infernal Chains pulls you back to your death. You know what the Infernal Chains actually reminds me of? I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Drag Me to Hell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That final scene where the boyfriend is literally dragged into the fiery depths. I felt like that was Orianna right there for Aatrox. Actually, there's a Baron attempt being stolen right.
Can Introducing be the hero?
Oh, well, it looks like Aquatic Dark are just going to try to make that not happen here. It looks like they will be given their lives changed. Can he join his teammates and comrades here? But he does get the Ward Hop onto Cleaver Master here. Gets the kick and forces away the rest of the members. They did take down Introducing and LG the Real Gabe in exchange for Aquatic Dark. But, my friend, your sacrifice will not go in vain. Your team got the Baron.
And then Lee Sin, just to rub salt into the wound, steals the red buff from the Caitlyn. Just, my goodness, that Morgana binding from halfway across the map hits Introducing and just makes it so that he can't even contest the Baron. The Baron was at 2000 HP. He could have EQ Cataclysm, maybe get the damage, but oh my goodness. Goodbye. That's disgusting. Can you not change?
Put up the 18+ censorship. This is the wrong website. If you have kids at home, please put them to bed. This is the late night Adult Swim stream that we got going on right now. Gee, poor Sneaky Jack, dude.
Sneaky Jack, 404. Orianna not found. And this is what we talked about earlier. You don't even need the Yasuo at this point. Lee Sin, he does so much damage. They nerfed his early game a tiny... when I say nerf, I mean the minuscule amount of nerfs that they did to the Q. But then you just have this late game damage that the amplified buff that they did to his Q, giving him, percent AD. Lee Sin's just disgusting right now, and especially the fact that he's 6'1" and 9. If you get that reference, 6'1", God bless your soul. But
You're fine. Damn, you're fine.
See, oh geez, there's just a lot going on. This is just another slaughter of Beemos, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it really is. Change just took over the game yet again.
Now, it is only 26 minutes into the game, and this time the deficit is not as big as it was before. Now, as I say that, Cleaver Master is just going to completely annihilate Galbi TG. Introducing is going to be able to get out with the flag and drag, but the 1-3... Oh my god, Aquatic Dark actually getting the last breath onto LG the Real Gabe, forces out the counter-strike. He might be able to pursue it if he has the dash here, and he's just playing around. He's just buying time. LG the Real Gabe, if he cannot join the rest of his teammates in defending the bot side of the map, for sure, they should be able to get the turret. Change is actually still working on the mid lane as well. They're simultaneously pushing all 3 lanes in, making the most use out of this Baron push.
This is a little questionable that they would go top instead of continuing the push mid. But they do force the flash out of the Real Gabe. And right now, it's just rotating the map. They do pick up another Mountain Drake, uncontested, but I don't know. If I'm Beemos, you just gotta defend those inhibs. If 2 inhibs go down, it becomes really difficult to even fathom winning the game. So we're gonna have to see what happens. Now, something that I'm noticing, J4 went Omen. I don't like that at all. The only person that crits is the Yasuo, and he only has 60%. He doesn't have IE built. I would have definitely recommended for him to go the Knight's Vow, the Locket, literally anything else except for the Randwind's Omen. Something to buff up his team instead of trying to buff up his own stats. That his life doesn't really matter once he gets his Flag and Drag Cataclysm. So Knight's Vow would have definitely been nice because the Caitlyn is, starting to hit her items little by little. She's at 2.5. But the real Gabe is still fed. You can put the Knight's Vow onto him and be able to do so much more. So it's kind of questionable, to say the least.
Yeah, it just goes to show how much introducing fears being one shot. And even though it is nice that you are building tanky, Gandhi Donut might be locked up here, but he's going to get the flash out of the Cataclysm. Flash down onto your bot laner. It's pretty good to be able to get for the side of Beemos. That is the Cataclysm down only for about 60 more seconds. If introducing can find another clutch engage like that, but it's adding to your point, Sordo. It's just, you're absolutely right. Like, yes, you're already doing the right thing and going tank, but you need to be a little more selfless than that. You cannot, you're already so far behind that it doesn't matter how tanky you are. You just need to have tank stats that also provide utility for your team.
Mm-hmm. And, it's really just a question mark to it. I get that this is a bad game. You can't count this as, it's all right. This is a bad game. But he can still be useful. If his next item is Knight's Vow and or Locket at this point, he can still be really useful. He can be the ball delivery system. He can, oh god, he got the reds stolen again. Oh, geez. I don't think he's actually gotten a red buff past his first one. And even his first one got stolen. No, he hasn't gotten a red buff this game. Yikes. That's just a huge yikes.
Yeah, big yikes indeed for introducing. As a jungle main, not ever having a red buff just sounds absolutely like my worst nightmare. It's just not having that red buff slow or not having the health regeneration just feels bad.
I mean, he got Flame Horizon as we see the Flag and Drag.
Oh my god, Aquatic Dark just 1v2ing over here, completely annihilates. What was the random Omen even for? The bonus armor penetration completely shredded through introducing there. LG the Real Gabe has survived the onslaught from Cleaver Master and changed.
Wow.
What a flashy play. Kicks and flashes to disengage the fight. Assassinates Sneaky Jack, and now I think we all know what is about to happen here, Sordo. That is the ace for Rawr. And Beemos, you fought hard, you fought well, you didn't give up, but unfortunately, Rawr just played a better and a cleaner game today.
Yeah, no, we can write Beemo's name into the Death Note because their playoff hopes are absolutely deleted as they get 2-0'd by the third place team, Rawr. GG, boys. Oh, dang. Just 2 games of just clappage. I haven't said clappage in a while, but this was some clappage. Oh,
August 13th will always be remembered annually as the day of the clappening.
It's the clappening, bro. It is the clappening. I don't know. Roar's just played so well. Change did amazing. And Cleaver Master, he still sustained into the 1v1 with the Jax, even though he was behind the Jax. So, Cleaver Master and Change just completely dominated both games, and just GG to Rawr in general. Good luck in the next round.
Absolutely. Congratulations to Rawr, and best of luck next time for you, Beemos. And now, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the first series of tonight's games here with me, myself, Rafa, and Sordo here on the cast. We are now going to throw it to intermission, and we will be going on with our second series of the night, and we'll be joined by another pair of well-talented casters. Thank you so much for having us here. We'll see you next time.